Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. We're going to have fun with our guests. Today, we have Cherie Gillenswan with us, who was named, get ready, one of the top influencers for over 50 by Women's Wear Daily. And that's like a Bible to those of us in our 50s. We know what that means.
It is.
I know. So thank you, Cherie. We're going to talk all things makeup, skincare, life, mom of four. You're and now living the dream as a TikTok influencer. So fun to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's what an honor to be here.
So let's go back in time. When you first started out, you became a makeup artist in your 20s. And I read how your grandmother really influenced your decision and doing that in skincare. So share your grandmother with all of us.
Yeah. So I actually, my father is Cuban. My mother is Italian, and I was raised in Miami. So very culturally Cuban. And, I grew up with a grandmother who was just, the epitome of just waking up and makeup and hair. And I was always so fascinated by it. And then my other grandmother was a cosmetologist and actually used to work at Eckerd Drugs. I don't even know if Eckerd Drugs exists anymore. But I remember being a child and getting Christmas gifts from her, and it was all the beauty stuff, like the lip gloss or the hair dryer or the curling iron, and it was like my favorite gift. And I've just always had a love for it. So I became a makeup artist in my mid 20s. I worked for MAC Cosmetics in the 90s before it was sold to Estee Lauder, and I always thought that would be something that I pursued, as a career. But life took on, life made another decision for me, as it tends to do. And I ended up in a completely non-beauty related field. And, I'm still in that field today. That's, I call that my real job.
Yeah. Okay. What? And I joke. I call it the JOB. So what is your JOB?
My real JOB. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm in the insurance industry, and I've been doing that for a very, very long time. And about a year and a half ago, my daughters, I have daughters in their 20s, and my daughters were like, Mom, you should get on TikTok. And I was like, no, that's for kids. Like, I don't, what is that? Because you hear about, like, to me, it was like the dancing app during COVID, right? And I was like, no, it's for young kids. I know you guys love it. But, and my daughter was like, no, there's actually a lot of people like on there that are, your age and talking about beauty and makeup. And I was like, what? And, so because, my daughters are always there. I always say they're my biggest cheerleaders. Like without them, I wouldn't be doing this. Absolutely not. But, I always get like questions about like, well, how'd you do your hair that way? Or what mascara are you wearing? Or, I love how you put that outfit together. Or can you tell me about this or that or the other? And my daughters were like, you should get on there because people are always asking you stuff like that. I think people would be really interested. And so I filmed a video. It was so long. I didn't know anything. I had zero social media experience. So know nothing about editing. I don't know the lingo. I don't know anything. And I just filmed to get ready with me. And I actually had to wait for my daughter. So I filmed it. She showed me how to save it as a draft. And I had to wait for her to get home from high school to like edit it and post it. And that's how we went on for like 2 weeks. So the day that I started my TikTok account was the day that I posted my very first video. I hadn't followed anybody. I hadn't been a consumer of that type of content. And I just did it. And then after about 2 weeks, my daughter's like, okay, you're going to need to learn how to edit your videos because I'm not signing up for it.
What was your very first TikTok video?
It was a get ready with me, just talking about like different. And so one of the things that motivated me was I used to be a beauty content consumer, like back in the YouTube days, right? And I would see women that were kind of close to my age, and I could tell that the techniques and the methods that they were using were methods adopted from the much younger makeup artists and influencers. And I also knew, because I understand how products work and I understand technique and kind of what not to do, because I've also was an experimenter on my own aging skin. And I knew that these techniques were going to look really good on camera for about 2 minutes. And as soon as they got out in a natural daylight, it was going to be a whole different story. And so I wanted to come on and it's part of my tagline today. It's like, I can show you how to look good in real life.
But that's so true. And
Yeah.
I work with clients in the PR space, but when people get television interviews, you're doing
Right.
a whole different, I've got to teach them how to do television makeup because of the
Correct.
lights and everything. So same
Totally
thing with,
different. Yep.
it's different. And I love that, the real life makeup.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, looking good in real life. And I think that, a lot of us, especially in our 50s, we struggle with it, right? Because we maybe are consumers of that same type of content, and we see it working for them, and the them, might be 15, 20 years younger. That might even be, let me tell you, my skin has changed from 50 to 55. And so what used to work for me even 5 years ago, I've had to modify, alter, change it up. And I'm a big believer that we can do anything in our 50s. Wear the shimmer, wear all the things. All we need to do is have these small little tweaks, right? And we can still participate in all the trends and all the viral products and all the things. There's just little tweaks along the way. And I feel like that was an area that not a lot of people were talking about. Certainly there were, there's definite, trailblazers all along the way. But I feel like it was an area that really had a gap in it. And I feel like it can also get frustrating because you see, you go out and you spend the money. That's the other advantage of being in our 50s, right? Like, we've got the money. Tell me what
Uh,
to buy.
so Forbes calls us teenagers with money.
Exactly. Well,
That's
I know that because, like, my daughter is 25 and all of the marketing is to her, right?
Yep.
But when she wants a refill on that Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, it's mommy. Exactly. And so it's such there's such a disconnect between marketing and I'm so, one of the things I'm most grateful for is to be kind of on the ground floor of mature beauty really having a voice. Brands are starting to listen. You're starting to see, 50 plus in marketing. You've got this list called, the top 10, influence over 50 to watch. Like, that is amazing. And I feel like that is just starting to happen right now.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. That this podcast, I mean, this
Yeah.
is geared towards women who are reinventing what are their next chapters. And yeah, and
Yes.
my daughter's 24, so I know exactly what you're saying. I said, why are you talking to
Yeah.
her? Because if you market to her and it's expensive, she's going to ask me.
That's
So,
right.
I,
That's right. That's
uh,
exactly right. And I feel like it can be a frustrating thing because you go out and you watch 10 influencers and maybe they're, younger than you or different skin than you or different whatever. And you go out and you buy the product and it doesn't work for you. And then you feel like it's a you thing, right? Like, I don't know how to do it. This product isn't working for me. I'm less than that. Like, you start to get all in your head about things that really it's not you. It's just changing something by 2 degrees. You know what I mean? Or going in with a different product under your eyes, because, my under eyes at 56 are like not what they once were.
well, let's talk about that since you brought it up, because that's on my question list. So this is brand new. It's 57. All of a sudden, I'm like, what are all these wrinkles? And I know I'm not supposed
Right.
to put powder down there, but what
Right.
do you recommend for the 50 plus woman who's getting those little bit of bags, a little bit of dark? How do we
Yeah.
lighten that up?
Yeah. And so I always say, you gotta, mature beauty, like, a lot of times in mature beauty, you just gotta pick your poison, right? So you have to embrace the fact that your under eyes are never going to be flat and wrinkle free and flawless and beautiful again. That's
No,
done.
no, no. Okay.
I mean,
All
unless surgery is an option, and I'm not saying I will never do that, but I'm not there yet, right? And so it's kind of like you got to pick your poison, right? So we came from the days of like being able to pack all this heavy powder with a puff underneath our eyes, and that would really made them look flawless and smoothed out. Well, now you got to pick your poison because that's the last thing you want under aging under eyes. What you want under aging under eyes is hydration. And with hydration, you're going to get luminosity. And that goes against everything we've been shown about under eyes. Why, like, we don't want shiny under eyes. Well, guess what? Sometimes you do, because shiny under eyes or hydrated under eyes are healthy under eyes. And I will take that all day long over heavy powder, life sucked out of me. Because like when you get out here I always say, when you get out in these streets under natural daylight, it's 3 o'clock car lighting, that tells the truth, you know? And so today I opt for like color correct. I have an under eye routine that I'm so proud of. Like I just did a video on it this morning. I get a lot of, and I'll do it on live sometimes on TikTok. But like we are about hydration, color correcting, and minimal products under our eyes and mature skin friendly powders. Not all powders are created equal, you know?
So what is mature friendly powder?
Well, like I love the Pat McGrath blurring under eye powder. There are the hourglass powder. There are powders that are formulated for mature skin. I was doing I have a series called 5 Days of the 5 Best. And so we do 5 days of the 5 best foundations over 50, 5 days of the best, under eye powders over 50. And we talk about like the nuances in powders, right? And how there are powders that are actually formulated with hyaluronic acid. Those are going to be much more forgiving on mature under eyes than just, and also it's technique, right? Anything you pack under your under eye with a puff is gonna you're gonna know that's there. you know and so maybe using a fluffy eyeshadow brush and just lightly dusting under the eye, just enough to set the makeup but not enough to like remove the moisture and the luminosity from underneath our eyes.
Do you put any kind of cream on before you start your
Oh
makeup?
yes, yes. I love there's a brand called Maxine's Revenge. That's the name of the brand. And she has her product is called the French Face. And the French Face, the owner of the brand is Leah, and she is over 50 and fabulous. Lived in Paris, worked for Sephora and Gucci. So she's no stranger to the beauty industry. And she actually formulated a product for mature skin. And so it is super skincare heavy. And what she does is she uses a high concentration of pigment so that we can get maximum coverage, but in a serum-y consistency. And it is beautiful. And she markets it to be used all over the face. So it can replace your bronzer, your foundation, your concealer. It's just an absolutely beautiful product. And so, I'll do like French face, or we'll go in with like some color correction. I always try to tell people, assess your own face. Like, do not watch a video about how Sally corrects her under eyes, because you may not have the same level of darkness. You may not have it in the same places. And so you have to assess your own situation. And then you correct based on your particular situation, And so we talk about like what good under eye creams are, reusable eye patches. I love the Fix. They've got, we should be having caffeine in our eye cream because it's really good for depuffing, and it's great for an AM routine when you're going to go in on top of it with concealer and so forth.
Okay, I can't. I went in a little bit on your TikTok, but I'm diving in much more. Tell everyone right now what your TikTok handle is.
Well, my main page is CSwan6. But I gotta tell you, I have a backup account, which is Cherie C-Swan 2, because 2 weeks ago, my TikTok account was hacked with 50,000 plus followers. So TikTok is working, allegedly, diligently to get me back in. But there's
It's
still content on that page, and I'm hoping to be back in it, hopefully maybe even this week. And but we are continuing business as usual from my backup account. So
Oh, yeah, it's I always say technology is great, until it's not. And
Exactly. Yeah.
a lot of
And
this stuff
it
is
was
run by
actually a
bots.
really yeah, it was actually a really good reminder for me about, I've only been on TikTok. I've only been doing this a year and a half, right? So here, like, back to my no experience thing. All of these things are just good, gentle reminders about, like, why don't I have any of this content backed up? Like, why does my content live on a platform that I don't own or have any say about how it operates? And so, I've started to do kind of like different things with my content now. But yeah, it's like you said, technology is great until it isn't. And then when it isn't, you're scrambling.
And just on a side note, that's a really important lesson. A lot of women watching this are starting new businesses or doing things,
Right.
next chapters. And you're right. The money's in the list. Like
Yep.
you have all these followers, but I talked about years ago, if you remember Vine, was that 6 second, like the
Yes.
Twitter thing.
Yes.
And
Yep.
people were making millions and millions of dollars and woke up one morning and Vine was gone.
Yep.
So yes, if you're starting a business,
Yep.
I digress from the makeup, which is why we're here, but that was a really
No,
important
no, and that
lesson
and
for
that's
anybody
that's
listening.
actually that's an excellent point. And it's why, they advise all creators to have two platforms that you're consistent on. And so my two are, well, I say my two. My I've started to post more on Instagram, but it's like anything, right? Like we get comfortable. I know TikTok, like I know how that machine works. I'm comfortable there. That's my family. And then I go to Instagram and I'm like, oh, this is a scary place. I don't know these people. But you know what? I didn't know anybody on TikTok a year and a half ago either.
That's the thing. We all, have clients who are like, oh my gosh, I don't have any followers. I said, even Jennifer Aniston started at zero. Now she got to 1 million in a couple hours, but when she
Yes.
started on Instagram, she had zero. So we all
Right.
start at zero. We all have
Yeah,
to
I
build.
I say that all the time. I don't care who the creator is. If they have 10 million followers, they started with one. If they lost 100 pounds, they started losing 5 pounds first. If they ran a mile, they started by like everything is progression. We tend to compare. There's this saying I used to say to my kids all the time. It's like, stop comparing your insides to other people's outsides. It's like we get into this comparison game and we don't take into account the journey. Like we see the end game. We're like, oh, she's got 3 million followers. But what did she look like 5 years ago? What did her platform look like 10 years ago? What did it look like last year?
Yeah, I love that. And I have a girlfriend who just went to a conference and heard Mark Zuckerberg speak. And he has a young daughter. I don't know for sure. Let's say 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah.
And she said, Daddy, I'm going to be the next Taylor Swift. And he said, but
Oh,
honey, Taylor Swift's already taken. So she said, I'm
yes.
going to be the best. And I can't remember her name, but I'm going to be the best Christina Daves there is.
I
And
love it. I love
isn't that
that.
great?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to say that to my kids too. I'm like, you know what? Like you're so busy trying to be Emily that you don't realize that nobody is ever going to be a better Gianna than you are. Like be busy being the best you because the best so and so is already a job that's taken, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Exactly. So, but and it's so exciting though that you have just started this in your 50s. You've been doing
Yes.
it a little over a year.
Yeah.
How excited were you when you got the call from Good Morning America to come on and as a top
It
10
It's all been,
influencer?
it's all been, it's all been crazy. Like, so I started doing this and a few months later, like literally a few months in, I want to say maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months into this, I got a call from a skincare brand that I loved and they were doing a campaign for this product and they wanted to only have people on the campaign, women on the campaign that were in their 50s. And they invited me to be the face of this brand. And I was like, what? So off to New York City I went, and I have never done anything like that before. I mean, I think my saving grace is also I'm a textbook extrovert, so I've never met a stranger. It takes me a second to warm up. So I went off to New York City and I did a whole campaign for a skincare brand. And then, I was written up in Good Morning America and then Women's Wear Daily and Pure Wow Media. And it's been really like a whirlwind. And one of the most interesting things, right? Like the amazing side effect that I didn't know like the best gift, if you will, of TikTok is I have built such an amazing community of women, right? And like, it's funny because my husband, who's an engineer, and he looks at this from the outside and he doesn't understand it because like it's this thing I do that his wife does about makeup. And what I think most people, unless you're a woman who gets makeup, what I think a lot of people don't understand is that it's not about the makeup. Makeup is the great unifier, right? All of a sudden you get in front of your favorite shade of lipstick and you put 5 women in front of their favorite shade of lipstick. And all of a sudden it doesn't matter who they voted for. It doesn't matter what their religion is. It doesn't matter what their skin tone is. We are all united through beauty. And, as a result of doing this, this community has grown up about me, right? Of like-minded women. And we have an offline community on Discord with about 150 women in it. And we talk about everything from makeup to menopause to new releases and, what's going on in people's lives. And if someone's having surgery, we try to be there for them and lift them up and support them in whatever way they need to be held during that time. We had a couple people in our group that were affected by Hurricane Helene, and we were able to come together for them. And so it has just been such a blessing, such an unintended blessing to have this community of women. I can't even, it's the greatest gift.
I love that you say that. I just, I'm involved with a nonprofit and we just did this big fundraiser and I didn't know any of the women there. And I went with my husband and then a male counterpart who's on the board too. And I made so many new girlfriends because they loved the way I did my lips that day. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a lip liner and she goes, Mom, try using the lip liner as your lipstick instead and then put a little gloss on. And
Yeah.
5 women were like, what are you doing on your lips? That's fat. And I'm pulling it out of my purse. Everyone's taking pictures. But now I have new
It's the
friends.
great unifier. It really
Yeah.
is. Like women are unified by beauty. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I love. All right, let's give some tips for women over 50. We talked about our under eyes. And of course, we're all going to just devour your TikTok page. But what are a couple things to, again, and the things we did, I think about this all the time, the things we did to our skin when we were 13 years old with
Oh my
the baby
gosh.
oil until you blistered. And then the
Mm,
minute you could stand the pain again, you did it all over again. So we
yes.
did a lot of damage, which I'm so thankful. My daughter, I'm sure your daughters, they're
Oh
putting
yeah.
sunscreen on their face and their makeup
Yeah.
all has sunscreen, but we did a lot of damage along the way. So what
Mhm.
are a couple things? Give us a couple quick tips for the 50+ year old to just start
Yes.
looking good.
Yes, stay out of the sun. You guys, I know, like, stay out of the sun. Self tanners have gotten so good. The sun's not doing you any favors. SPF is a year round gig. It doesn't matter what season it is. If you are near a window or you are in a car. In fact, I'll give you a very interesting thing that I just learned not that long ago. I went to my dermatologist and there was that she was talking about how the left side of your face is always, it's going to have more sun damage, more fine lines and wrinkles. And I was like, well, that's so weird. And they're like, no, that's the side you drive on. So just a few years of driving will will give you a visible difference in damage from the side you're not driving on. I mean, that to me is like huge. So SPF every single day. Take care of your skin. Take care of your hair, your skin, your nails. Beauty starts from the inside out. You can't have something on the outside that's not coming. But it's my belief that anything that's exterior, that's beautiful on the exterior is because it's overflowing from what's inside, right? So that's why you can't be a jerk and be pretty. It doesn't work. you know? And so sunscreen, hair, skin, nails, supplements, take care of your body as much as you can. Drink water. Take care of your eyebrows, your eyelashes, overdraw your lips, skip the filler. Get your under eyes hydrated, get a good simplified skincare routine. And that's it. That's all you need. Everything else is just filler. It's just fluff.
And let's talk about hair because I learned something from a girlfriend a couple of years ago. I was this, I grew up with oily hair. Well, your hair
Yeah.
changes as you get older. So I'm
Yes.
still in this routine of washing my hair once or twice a day. And she's like, what are you doing? So I am
Yeah.
now down to twice a week, which let me tell you is fabulous. This is, I think, day 5. And then I realized, oh, you
Yes.
get really good hair when it's a little dirty.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but important to take care of your hair that way too by not over
Yes.
washing, over blow drying, doing all of that.
Yes, absolutely. And like I pick a thing, right? So I know that I want highlights or balayage or whatever. My daughter's a hairdresser. So what I'll do is I won't put heat to my hair. So I've gotten really good at heatless curls. So what I'm not gonna, it's kind of like my diet, right? Like I'm not gonna have 3 things that are carbs. If I'm doing carbs, I'm probably not doing dessert. So I kind of like, that's kind of like a rule that I use in my own life just to keep me, to moderate, self moderate, if you will. Yeah. So, you pick something. So I take really good care of my hair. I've always had long, thick hair. A lot of people are like, oh God, do hair content. I always feel like somewhat of a hypocrite because I'm like, but it's 70% genetics. So I never want to feel like a fraud, like, oh, buy this product and your hair will look like this, because we need to take into account like genetics. What did her hair look like when she was young? Like it's definitely, I love to follow like hair loss progression and like that journey is so interesting. One day I will get the guts to go gray. I have a friend, Kelly, she's a silver sister, and I went to New York with her for the campaign. That's where I met her, and she is fabulous and gray. And I see so many women like really doing that, and I'm like, one day that's gonna be me.
But you know what? I interview so many people, and I've interviewed several of those influencers that have gone
Yeah,
gray. And I'm with you right now. It's not for me right now, but this is such a no judge zone that whether
right.
you color, whether you use Botox or don't, whether you use filler or don't,
Yes.
you do what,
Do
you've been
you?
saying this throughout. You do you,
Yes.
whatever makes, if
Yes.
that makes you happy. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not quite there yet, but they do. These women look gorgeous, like
Gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Yeah, there's a woman who's also on that list with me. She goes by the beauty debut. Her name is Claudia. The thickest, most silvery, just luscious hair. And I'm like, I watch them with interest. I'm like, I'll like stalk their like Instagram, and I'll be like, oh, look at their hair.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to feel it from within. You've got to,
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
you've
You got
got
to
to
be
be
ready
able
for
to
it.
do it.
It's just like anything. Like what, like, I share what my journey is and what my journey is about, but I can only ever speak about me and my experience and my opinions. And that doesn't mean they're right. I'm just sharing mine. A lot of sharing your journey is also learning, right? Like I feel like you never stop learning and you never stop growing, because if you're living, there's only learning and growing. That's all there is. You can't, like, what does they say? You can't coast uphill. So like I can share, like I haven't had fillers and Botox and I haven't gone silver, but that doesn't mean A, that I never will. And B, I support you. If that's your journey, I'll drive you to the appointment. I'll be your cheerleader.
Exactly. All right. How often are you posting on TikTok?
I post anywhere from 2 to 4 videos a day, every single day.
A day.
Yeah, a day.
Wow. Okay. Because I
Yeah.
just started on TikTok a few months ago.
Oh, I
Not quite
love
where you
it.
are, but mine's the over 50 talking about the podcast. And I'll probably do a stitch with you on something
Love
that we've
it.
talked about and
Love
have
it.
some fun with that. Uh,
Yep.
but I love it. I'm learning the platform more. You've actually given me some great tips and ideas of things to, and I've watched yours. It's more like just talk to camera and just tell them what you're doing.
Oh yeah, like that. That's the thing. Like everybody was like, "Oh God, how do you do this? Aren't you nervous? Aren't you that?" So for me, when I turn on the camera, I am on a FaceTime with 50,000 girlfriends. That's just what we're doing. That's the vibe. I don't have a bunch of like setup, and like I'm not super like profesh. And what it's literally like when I go buy a mascara at Nordstrom, I will literally call my in real life girlfriend and go, "Girl, Girl, you gotta see this. And I'll push the FaceTime and I'll go, look at this. You need this. You need this. Look at these lashes. And that's how I do my videos. Like we're just all hanging out.
Yeah. And I teach my clients that too, that
Yeah.
if you're on, you're just talking to one person. Just you're
Yep.
talking to your best friend about what you know about
Exactly.
and love, which is what you're
Yeah.
doing, which is so
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And are your girls just so proud of you?
Oh my gosh, yes, they are my biggest cheerleaders. They every day they're like, "Wow, you got this. You go, mommy."
Oh, it's so
But yeah, and
awesome.
and the other thing is like on social media, and I think this always comes through because I know it always came through for me before I was creating, is as long as you are your real, authentic, genuine self, your community will build up where you're planted. Just always being genuine, as honest as possible. Like, I always say like honesty's it's like how much do you want to share? And at the end of the day, it's still the internet. And I'm still a stranger. And so, I try to kind of monitor that. But I'm an oversharer kind of by nature. So that part comes kind of easy to me. And sometimes my husband will go, "Oh, did you have to put my feet in that video?" I'm like, it's just the girls. He's like, there's
Right.
50,000 people on that account.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, Cherie, thank you so much. I want
Yeah,
everyone to
thank
share
you for
this
having me.
episode. Yeah, with your girlfriends. And so, what is the greatest thing you've accomplished since you turned 50?
Oh my gosh. Well, we are successful empty nesters. And my greatest accomplishment is that it's not until, parenting is such a strange bird. You don't ever think they're listening. And then they move out. And then that's where the proof is in the pudding. Like, what kind of humans exactly did you raise? And so we're now official empty nesters. We've been doing it for, over a year. And my greatest accomplishment is that we have raised 4 outstanding humans. The way that they respond to life and the world around them, they're kind, they're smart, they're generous. And, they're just amazing. And I look at my husband and I'm like, that's our best work.
It's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I do. I feel so for our 1 year anniversary, my first guest interviewed me and I said something very similar. I only had 2. But yeah, that you put good people in the world. You did your job, Mom.
Yes.
Check.
What an
Congratulations.
accomplishment. You too. That's what we do, right? And and the other thing is just my 50s have been my favorite decade yet. Like I can't imagine. I like it's been the best decade. Like I look better than I ever have. I am wiser. I'm kinder. I live more in the gray area. When you're young, you're always living in that. It's black or it's white and it's nothing in between. And now today I kind of find comfort in the gray areas.
And here's something to look forward to from everyone I've interviewed, everything I've read. The 60s are the best, and that's
I
yet to come
can't
for
wait.
us. I know. And where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Gosh, retired. Um, doing like, retired from my real job and doing this, this is the reason I can post 2 to 4 videos a day every single day is because I love it. I don't look at numbers and I don't, numbers are certainly important because brands look at numbers. So you need to know about numbers, but I just love to get up here and do this. And I'm so grateful for a community that's afforded me the opportunity to do that. So I just want to be doing this from my beach house.
Love it. Remind everybody where to find you online.
Yes, Swan6, Cherie Swan, Seaswan. So C like the C. And backup account is Cherie Swan too.
Great. And we'll have everything in the show notes. Again, share this with all your 50-year-old women who need makeup tips. I can't wait to follow you every day. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. What an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.